alright. Solidarity forever. Solidarity always fight for our rights. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. We shall always fight for our rights.
Nigerian Constitution. Nobody is above. The Nigerian Constitution. We are calling on President Muhammadu Buhari, the governor of Taraba State, Darius Ishaku and TY Danjuma, they should embrace peace. Tiv and Juku, they have been living in peace time immemorial. We all understand they have been having differences. But TY Danjuma bringing politics into the crisis in Taraba State is unacceptable. We are asking the governor of Taraba State, as the chief security officer of Taraba State, to do the needful. He should obey the Nigerian Constitution. He should not be listening to elder statesmen who we see to be elder statesmen, and they are practicing charm that is danger to our democracy. We need peace in every part of Nigeria. We need peace in Taraba State. Juku and Tiv headlock crisis does not mean well, does not augur well for we, the good people of Taraba State. We don't see any reason why the governor should fold his hands and close the Nigerian Constitution and practicing individuality. It will not take us anywhere. We are asking the security agency, they should do the needful. The needful is the Nigerian Constitution. And we don't have a single blood to speak for any reason. We don't have a tribe or a community to be murdered like chickens. Enough is enough. The government must wake up to their responsibility. Their primary aim is to protect lives and property. In a situation in Taraba State, in Tiv land in Taraba State and the Joku land in Taraba State, there is no longer guarantee for peace and lives in security. And we are asking the governor to do the needful. Go back to Nigerian Constitution. Stop the killings. If he folds his hands, one day he will wake up. He will not find a single person who is a thief in Taraba State. He will equally wake up one day. He will not find a single person who is a Juku in Taraba State. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. President Muhammadu Buhari, we are appealing to your conscience to do the needful. Call the governor to order. Call the security agencies to order. Enough is enough. No matter who's odd, we don't have a single blood to spill any longer in this country. Enough is enough. God bless you all. My name is Adodo Solomon, who will address the press. And he has the press statement. Yeah, this is just the preamble. So, comrade,
because if you are looking down, we can't use it. Look at the cameras, address us from your heart. No, I will read this because this is a letter to the president, and I'll still Nigeria people. Great. Greatest Nigeria people.
great!
Members of civil society groups in partnership with the Tiv Youth Council, who are also here with us, the president of the Tiv Youth Council and his delegation. We are aware of the worrisome crisis that have bedeviled Taraba State, and our findings show that there are powerful individuals, politicians precisely, behind the scenes, inciting this crisis, arming the militia, just in a bid to give the government a bad name. Today, the Tiv Youth Council and the Guardians of Democracy and Development alongside other civil society groups, have gathered here on the grounds of the Unity Fountain in Abuja to forward this open letter to Mr. President, for Mr. President to act decisively and deal decisively with all the individuals fomenting crisis for political gains just to tarnish the image of the government. This letter is addressed this 14th day of August 2019 to the President, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja. Your Excellency, the Taraba killings and efforts by some politicians to destabilize government by fueling insecurity across the nation, a call for urgent action and stern deterrent measures. The Tiv Youth Council, Guardians of Democracy and Development, and other civil society groups here present, herein acknowledge your others' patriotic and sincere efforts in steering the ship of our dear nation, Nigeria, in the direction of progress for the good of all. It is no longer strange news that your government was greeted by a plethora of burdensome challenges at the inception of your leadership in the first tenure of your administration. These challenges, as diverse as they were, reared their monstrous heads principally in the toga of corruption, widespread insecurity, and a hard-biting economic recession, which cast a grim hold on very extreme poverty on a greater percentage of the citizenry. It is also an incontrovertible fact that you set out to diligently and tactically confront these behemoth of challenges frontally, recording so many sterling achievements in this respect. To wit, in the fight against corruption, there has been significant reduction, with perpetrators of corrupt practices and financial crimes being dealt with appropriately. The war against insecurity, insurgency, and terrorism has been largely successful, with the repulsion and restriction of the Boko Haram terrorist insurgents, while other emerging cases of insecurity are being tackled headlong. The Nigerian economy was able to wriggle her way out of recession in record time, while being repositioned on the path of steady growth. The stellar successes achieved by your administration have not come without a cost. On the one hand, the government maintained consistent, dexterous, and self-sacrificing efforts, while on the other hand, the fiendish elements that benefited from the old order have injected a strong bile of hatred and relentless determination to consistently fight and frustrate the government under your patriotic leadership. It is on the heels of these that certain politicians have latched in on some strong primordial sentiments to stir up communal crisis. A case in instance is Taraba State. Ethnic violence and other forms of insecurity, just in a bid to paint the government as insensitive and lacking in tact in combating crimes and insecurity in the country. We herein bring to your notice that over 95% of the violent crimes committed are being attributed to the Fulanis just to stir the North-South antagonism and hatred. However, a prominent case of the killing of a reverend father in Enugu State clearly shows that there are strong masterminds fueling these acts of violence and attributing same to Fulani headsmen just to stir the division while sowing seeds of insurrection in the minds of Nigerians. This, we are aware, is for political purposes. The promoters of these violent acts thereafter played the ostrich and, in a veiled garment of patriotism, publicly condemned the government. We therefore herein reiterate that these masterminds of violence have become brazen and are strategically spread across the nation, carrying out their sinister grand plan. It might be recalled that in March 2018, a former Chief of Army Staff and erstwhile Minister of Defense, General TY Danjuma, retired, in an open call for anarchy and wanton violence, called on his people to pick up arms and wage war at any instance of provocation. Nothing was done to this elder statesman for this high-pitched inflammatory statement. Our scrupulous findings presently reveal that the retired general has been inciting the Jukuns, arming and training them in tactical warfare to exacerbate the crisis between the Jukuns and the thieves in Taraba State. The aftermath is what we saw just a few weeks ago. This he has successfully done in collusion with the Taraba State Governor, Architect Darius Ishaku, and their other willing foot soldiers. The recent upsurge in violence and communal wars in Taraba State calls for deep concern and investigation of the financiers, promoters, and perpetrators alike. The case of the cold-hearted killings carried out by Jukum militia at the Federal University Wukari is one too many, and that demands decisive and urgent action. The masses of the Tiv and Jukum communities in Taraba State are very willing to embrace peace and live together in harmony for growth and economic development to thrive. Howbeit, the elite, nudged by General TY Danjuma retired and Governor Darius Ishaku, who seek to disparage the image of the government, have continued to stoke the embers of violence just to achieve their unpatriotic ulterior motives. These individuals must be halted and stopped before they proceed to their next level of violent propagation. We are certain that your government is very aware of General Danjuma, Governor Ishaku, and other such politicians across the nation that are fueling insecurity throughout Nigeria in a bid to destabilize the government and give the government a bad name. The federal government should not fold its arms and watch while these prominent politicians cripple the nation and propagate hate and violence. We have confidence in the fact that the government under your watch will not spare any sacred cows in the quest to uphold the peace, territorial integrity, and sovereignty of our very dear nation, Nigeria. We therefore use this medium to call on your good office to direct all the relevant security agencies to thoroughly investigate General TY Danjuma retired and Architect Darius Ishaku for their ignoble roles in the Taraba State communal clashes. The government should also investigate other such politicians and sponsors of violence across the nation and prosecute them appropriately to serve as warning knell. We have strong confidence that the Jukuns and the thieves can live harmoniously together and mutually chart beneficial courses for economic growth and development, if these prominent politicians and masterminds of violence and wars are isolated and dealt with. While expressing full confidence in the assurance that you will expedite action on this matter of urgent national security, we extend assurances of our unwavering support to the government under your adroit watch. This communique or submission is signed by Right Honorable Mike Umswan, the President of the Tiv Youth Council, and myself, Comrade Solomon Adodo, the convener of the Guardians of Democracy and Development in Nigeria. Questions are welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Are you the president?